Good morning, everyone. Thanks for making up this week's Writers on Writers over at Triple X Podcast with their host, Patrick Greenwood. We're joined this morning by an incredible individual. It has been a pleasure to get to know this man and to read his work, Donald T. Hardison II. How are you, Donald, this morning?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Patrick.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure, sir. I had a chance to pick up your work on Kindle this week. One Man's Journey, the untold story of the quest for truth. Now, that's a very loaded way to start the cover. I love it. That is a great way to kind of open the eyes of what a book could potentially be about. As I was telling you in our pre-call today, anybody who writes a memoir, no matter subject matter, background, whatever, I always give them 5 extra kudos of stars online, because it is a lot to be able to write a memoir, especially if you've had a very challenging and struggling life, which a lot of us have. You have taken an incredible amount of time to write this beautiful memoir about life, about spirituality, about faith, about path and journey to God, and other things that you have gone through in your life. Now, when you really kind of sat down and wrote this, I remember you mentioned in your pre-call that you did this in 45 days. That's an amazing reality to write a memoir. So take me through day one.
Day one. Yes. So this book, like people like who knew my story, they would ask me, "Are you going to write a book?" And I knew that at some point in my life that I would write a book, but it wasn't going to be when I decided, "Hey, it's time to write my book." I had to actually wait for the Lord to actually say, "Hey, it's time to write your book." Right. So 1 week before the writing of the book started, I started having flashbacks of my life. I mean, and it was like I was actually there reliving it as a child to where I am today. And the tears kept flowing. And I said to my wife, "I don't know what's going on here." But she's like, and I told her I'm having these flashbacks. And I was in Hope Mills, South Carolina, and went to Lake Waccamaw. And when I got there, the Lord said, "Start to write your book." And day one, I started writing. I mean, and basically I started writing, I wrote the skeleton, and then I started filling in the blanks. And one chapter at a time. I mean, as I wrote, tears would, basically like just start falling, and it's like, okay, so chapter 1 is done. And then I started chapter 2 and chapter 3. So then as I finished 2 and 3, that it's just started all just flowing together. I mean, the chapter titles and all of that. So yeah, I mean, like writing it within 45 days, but it was 47 years that I lived out, I mean, and that's basically, writing, editing, formatting, and published within 47 days. So I mean, it was another miraculous divine event in my life. I mean, it's not easy to write a book.
No, we all know that. Yes,
it's a lot different than having conversation, because you have to write every single word. It's not like you can miss something here, someone can pick it up. I mean, it has to be written precisely to where people are going to get it, they're going to understand it, and the book has to have a flow and a tone to it. Keeping myself in the book was really, really hard to do, because at times I kept driving myself out. And as I would reread it back to my wife, she said, "Baby, keep yourself in the book." And I was like, all right,
focus there.
Yeah, let me go back in there and change this and change that. But honestly, I mean, it's been nothing more than a blessing to be able to get out here and share my story and to write this memoir. I mean, it's
beautiful. I mean,
it's my life. I love it. I mean, and I want to share it with the world, because I know what's inside of this book. I mean, has to deal with everybody in this world. I mean, It doesn't matter if you live in India, if you're from the United States, what part of the world you're from. We all go through trials. We all go through tribulations, and we all need to know how to cope when times like that come.
Well, you mentioned in your title, and that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed picking this book up and reading it, was you obviously, with every trial you face in your life, whether it's your parents, your children, your wife, your marriages, all the things you've had going through in your life, it all kind of led to a journey to God in your own way. Instead of following a structure saying, here's what we're supposed to do in order to find our path, you really kind of defined in the book very well as saying, no, it's up to us to find our own path. Was that what you meant by truth in your title, was really the quest for truth?
Yeah. So the thing is like, the untold story of the quest for truth. Like, what is truth? I mean, like, do we recognize it when we hear it? Do we understand it when we see it? And what are we going to do with it when we do understand what it is? I mean, so like Jesus says all these things in the Word of God, and it's just like, are they true? But then all of a sudden he comes out and says, see if I don't stand tested, tried and true. He's like, step out in faith and try me. He's like, do not the sparrows get fed? Do they not have a roof over their head? And I take care of all of them. So if I can take care of the least of a sparrow,
Mhm.
can I take care of you? And that is the humongous question, because then it's calling you to step out blindly in faith, to quit your job, to go out into this unknown world
World.
with no money, no finances, nobody behind you, you know what I'm saying? And saying, here I am, God, and God says, yes, you are. And I'm going to take you and I'm going to show you things and I'm going to take care of you every single step of the way.
Mhm.
That takes a lot of faith, as a child when I was born, yeah, I was born with a gift. I understand it now. I didn't understand it then. But it's something that had always been burning inside of me to be a better man today than I was yesterday, if that makes sense.
Does.
And to be that man, it's like you have to look back on yesterday and say, hey, what did I do that wasn't quite right that I can do differently today, each and every single day of your life? And to me, what was burning inside of me has turned out to be a passion now, a lifelong passion. Like I know
Mhm.
to the day I die, I'm going to share my story. And my story continues to grow. It just
Mhm.
doesn't end with one man's journey, the untold story. It's a quest. And this quest is something that I'm going to live out the rest of my life. So,
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the chapters that you talked about in your writing talked about your ministries, and you've been involved with homelessness ministries, you've been involved with outreach, and you did so with no resources, no capital, no investors, no
no.
structure. It was
Yep.
just your heart of caring for a fellow person that
Well,
really did a lot of that as well.
it's amazing. When one person steps out and takes the lead, people will follow. When they see goodness and they want to be a part of goodness, they will follow. Like the ministry I had in Albany, Fire First Ministries. I went
Mhm.
there. Next thing you know, I'm out on the streets. People are getting wind that, hey, there's an evangelist. And they said, I haven't seen an evangelist out on the street in 13, 14 years. Next, people are getting wind of it and they want to get involved. Next thing you know, I've got all these supplies coming in. I have money coming in. And none of the money that ever came in was ever used for any of my personal expense.
Mhm.
Because I live a very, very meek and humble life. Like the only thing I had was a cell phone bill. That's it. 45 bucks a month. Okay, I got that covered.
Mhm.
Sometimes I would eat just a cheeseburger, but I was able to build care packages with
Mhm.
T-shirts and soaps and gift cards for people to get food, filled with Bibles and T-shirts, and then pass those along. Or I could just meet up with somebody, and if they were hungry, I could take them into a restaurant and sit down and eat with them. I've even had people at the restaurant saying, hey, you're welcome, but the man or the woman next to you, they're not welcome in this establishment. I said, well, why is that?
Mhm.
They're paying customers. Well, no, they're beggars, they say. I said, okay, well, they're not beggars today. And I would feed them the finest meal, whatever they wanted, and just to sit down and talk with them means a lot. I always say one handshake, one, hey, how you doing? $1 million smile can change a person's life. And why not be that person? It doesn't cost you anything to be that person,
It's very true.
so.
So you and I had a wonderful spirited conversation about the structure of church, and I gave you my thoughts of the Roman Catholic Church and my upbringing a little bit. And I noticed, especially in your book, you talked about how the church structure was counterproductive in your life and not a productive force of goodness to that. And today you continue to keep your ministries in different cities you travel to with your outreach and so on. And have you felt that you've been more successful with your ministries because you haven't formed an organized physical church?
Yeah, most definitely. It to me, if one person's life has changed throughout my lifetime, I feel like I've done my job.
Mhm.
But that's just not the case, because when there's one, there's another,
Right.
and there's another. Especially during COVID, when COVID
Oh
took place, oh my goodness, it's like I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Next thing you know, Miracle Ministries closed due to the pandemic. Miracle Ministries closed, and where's the miracle at? And all these people are looking for help. You know what I'm saying? And it's not that they were looking for like a handout. It was
Mhm.
like they were looking for someone to converse with them, someone to pray with them. I was marching into the homeless camps, and they're like, hey, you're not from the city, are you? No, I'm not from the city, but I'm here for you, and I've got a message for you. And this is a message of hope. It's a message of peace, and it's a message of truth. And hey, I'd like to pray with you. And these people got so excited. You talk like we talked earlier.
There's hope.
People will
Yeah.
not argue with the fact that there's power in prayer.
Mhm.
People know that, hey, when there's prayer going on, I mean, there's something divine and something miraculous happening. I mean, the tears start flowing, the hugs start coming, and they know that God is at work in their life. I mean, and you don't see the church doing that. You hear the church telling you to go out and do that, but they don't take you out to do that. But they'll sure as heck take your money. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I mean, the church is like like a villain to me right now. You know, I mean, they're not out doing what it is they said that Jesus told us to do. And my mom, she had brought me up to be a man of integrity.
Yes.
I mean, in my house, it was say what you mean what you say, and do what you say you're going to do. I mean, basically be a man of your word, you know? So, hey, what I'm preaching, I'm out doing, you know, I mean, and I invite anybody and everybody to come out there with me. I mean, I'll come meet you wherever you're at. Say, hey, let's go. You know, I mean, let's go out there and bless some people. And they don't have to be, you know, homeless. I mean, I've been into the orphanages. I've been into the old folks' homes. You know, I mean, just ministering to the old people and the children. I love being with the children. I mean, it's great. I mean, and just to hear their thoughts, because out of the mouth of babes comes perfect praise. You know, I mean, it's been a blessing. So
when you're writing, and I ask this to a lot of writers that come on, when we write our novels, I write fiction and so on, and I have an idea of a reader in mind. I have sort of the demographic I'm looking for. When you wrote this, did you have anybody in mind to say, this is my ideal reader, or did you write this as a universal, this book is open to everybody?
Yeah, I wrote it as a universal. This book is open to everybody. I had no idea how it would be received. You know, I mean, and that's huge because everybody says you need to have like a focus on a certain group of people.
Right.
That's what's going to sell books. Well, I'm not out here trying to sell a book. You know, I'm trying to share my story. I happen to write a memoir to tell you about who I am, where I came from, what I've gone through in life, and hey, you know, if I'm able to make it up that mountain, so can you. And guess what? You don't have to do it alone because here's my hand and I'll help you up. You know what I'm saying? I'll help you along the way. So, I mean, I think it being universal, and it has. I mean, like the book's been all around the world now. I mean, it's being sold in Australia. It's in Lebanon. I mean, it's in South Africa. So it is getting out there one reader at a time, and I thank God for that. So
it's beautiful. I know that our mutual friend Joseph in Australia is a friend of yours, and you guys are self-promoting, you know, doing some promotional work with your book as well, which is very beautiful as well.
Yeah, he's got an amazing book, Escaping My Demons. I mean, I think people need to read that book as well.
No, he's been on the podcast as well, and he's a very good friend as well. Let me ask, so the book that's out there, people have read it. Have you had anybody ever come back to you and criticize you for the book? Have you had someone come back and say, you're way off base, man. This is not even this. There's no authenticity to this. Have you had the namesayers come back a little bit against you as well?
Surprisingly not. So I've had, so that's a very good question. I've had the skeptics come at me.
Okay.
I've also had people who are atheists, you know, talk about the book. And then I've had these people who are theologians, you know, read my book, and they've all given it 5 stars. So it's not because I'm over here trying to force a religion on people.
No, you're not.
I'm speaking about a relationship between me and God, and how I got there and how you too can get there. I'm not saying, hey, I'm a Pentecostal, come this way, or I'm Catholic, come this way. I'm not trying to take people from where they're at. I'm just saying that, hey, you know, this is what happened in my life. This is a very true story, a divine intervention. I mean, I'm here because of the grace of God. I mean, I should be a dead man. I shouldn't even be here, you know, but now I'm 48 years old, and 28 years ago, I attempted to take my life, you know, but here I am making a change in this world. I mean, I want change in this world. I want this to be a better place. I want to be able to walk out and see people being compassionate, you know, one to another, showing kindness, showing grace, showing mercy, to learn what these things are. Because if you don't know what they are, how are you going to go out and do them? You know, I mean, like, to show mercy, to show grace. I mean, and I have my hater club. You know, I mean, I have people who really hate on me, but I mean, they're my biggest motivators, and I thank them more than anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you continue to push me to be a better person. So keep it coming, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you're cheering for me, I'm cheering for you guys.
No, it's a balance. You have to get both. You got to get the people that are supporters, and you got to get the other ones as well to get a perspective. Now, you've created this book. You wrote it in 45 days. Tell me a little bit about the publishing journey. Did you put this out to publishers? Did you self-publish? How did you go through the publishing process?
Yeah, so I basically self-published, right? So my wife and I, we own a writing company, and she's an amazing writer, and an editor and all that other stuff. So I mean, as I was writing, I finished it up. Then we went through and we did three different types of edits on it. Then we formatted it, and then we bought the ISBNs for it. And then we self-published. So we self-published through English Sparks, Amazon, Google Play, Apple Books. I mean, Kobo. It's all over the internet with big distributors.
Absolutely beautiful. No, I'm glad that's very interesting, because you really not only wrote this, you published it, you put it out there. Let's talk a little bit about your marketing. Now, obviously, coming on podcasts is a lot of fun, so people can be able to better learn about your material as well. Are you also bringing up your book when you're out doing ministries? Are you talking to people about the book as well? How are you sort of getting it? How are you sort of getting the word out there about the book?
I pass a lot of them out free while I'm out there. I mean, it's just like, so I got a big bag, a duffel bag, and it's just like, it comes, packed with the Bible and now the book, and it's like, check it out. I mean, and a lot of them, they go right to the back of the book. And, because there was a time when, like, I was raised for God, but I mean, God wasn't giving me any answers at all. I mean, especially through the hard times that I went through. And I'm asking, where are you, God? Where are you? I mean, and then, I mean, my faith was, I mean, it was about shattered. I mean, I got to the point where I'm telling God off. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you call yourself a loving God. I mean, like, I'm 21 years old, and here this is that happened, and I need her. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm 25 and I need him. Why are you allowing this to happen? This is your fault. And it seems like everybody wants to blame God. That's the first person that they go to. Like, this is all your fault. But it's not, though. It's not his fault. And he will change your heart. He will change your perspective. I mean, and you will see things in a whole different light. Like I would say, even though growing up in the church or growing up as a Christian, I can say that I didn't honestly know God who he is, until I was probably 28 years old, because I fought with him that long after the things that I had gone through. And it seems like, even though like people promise you, like, if you come to God, life's going to be grand, it's going to be great. That's so not true. I mean, it's like, hey, it's going to get worse. And I'm not one sitting here saying, oh, I've been through my trials, I've been through my tribulations, life is so grand, and life's not going to fall out from underneath me again, because it is. It's going to. But I do know that, having gone through what I've gone through, I'm going to be better prepared for what happens next. And I'll take whatever happens next, and I will use it as a testimony, use it as another story. I actually have another book coming. I mean, it's pretty exciting.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What book two? What does book two look like?
Book two, I'll give you the name. I can't tell you what it looks like, but it's called A Break in the Silence. And the One Man's Journey is actually being screenwritten for a movie right now, so that's coming out soon as well. Well, not soon, but in the next year or so. But it's in the works.
Wonderful. Now, when are we expecting to see book two? Is that a 2025, 2026?
25. Sometime between the end of the year and the beginning of the year.
And do you expect? Are you hoping to have like a series? Are you hoping to maybe have like a 3 and a 4? Are you finding yourself like, I've got more stories to tell? Do you feel your life is fulfilling more and more stories that you want to get out on paper?
Yeah, I mean, 47 years of this. I mean, God has given me a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge, and I have a lot to write about. A lot. I think A Break in the Silence is going to be more of a book about a father's struggle when he becomes estranged from his children. So that's going to be another tough one, but it's going to be part 2. The untold story of the quest for truth, part 2. So
I look forward to it. I'll definitely pick that up as well. How can people best follow you? I had a chance to pick you up on LinkedIn as well, and obviously we have a relationship with Joseph. How can people best follow you, to kind of follow your work, follow your ministries, and also, more importantly, follow book 2 when book 2 comes out as well?
Yeah, so I definitely I have a YouTube channel, I have LinkedIn, I have a Facebook, and I have Instagram. So, and Snapchat. You guys have Snapchat.
And all of those are different. What is your favorite vehicle? Is it YouTube channel? Is it Facebook? Which one are you finding the most success in getting your word out?
Believe it or not, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has really got me out there. And it's great because, I mean, like, now the book is reaching business people, so I mean, and there's a lot of big name people who have actually read this book. And even though they're not leaving reviews, I mean, they get a hold of me and they tell me, like, Donnie, wow, I'm so sorry that you've gone through this, but you are such an inspiration to me.
You are.
And to me, I mean, I always point my finger towards God. I mean, he gets all the glory in all of this, but I mean, it's a blessing to be able to be given a voice and a story to share this with the world, that, hey, that you don't have to be someone, popular, and you don't have to be a Hollywood A-lister to go out and make a change in this world. I mean, it's like you can start today. Just walk out your front door, and say, hey, let me look for somebody or something, because there's always a need to be filled. Question is are you willing to fill that need? And for me, the answer is yes, and it's always going to be yes.
Well, it's beautiful. I know that one of your goals was to inspire people. You definitely have inspired me. I loved your work very much. I look forward to book 2. I look forward to more of your ministry work that you've got coming out as well. One Man's Journey by Donald T. Hardison II. Donald, thank you so much for making on Writers over at Your Book Festival podcast for this week.
Thank you, Patrick.
No, everyone, thanks again for making the broadcast as well. We'll see you on next week. Take care and have a very safe week as well.